Hello, today I'm working on the Dewdrop wristlet. This is a K.Azcona patterns design. So this pattern comes from her, but the cut and sew comes from K&A Custom Fabrics. I have sewn this wristlet before, so I'm super excited to get to use this one to make it quick and easy and just really pretty colors. So this will be my exterior. This is a kind of like a pebbled vinyl. So that's going to be the front and the back. We have our zipper gussets, our bottom gussets, and a wristlet strap. That's all out of vinyl. But then for the interior, we have a water-resistant canvas, and it's going to have our front and our back, a slip pocket, and then also those zipper gussets or zipper panels, and then our bottom gusset. I just want to show you what it looks like when you get it before I cut everything out, but I'll cut everything out and then we'll go over the pieces of how this will come together and everything we need to make it. I have everything cut out. I'm not using any interfacing at all. You definitely can use interfacing if you want. I just don't feel like it needs it. Using a vinyl and like a water-resistant, waterproof canvas is plenty firm enough, I think, where this is a small wristlet. So for the pieces, let's talk about them first with the exterior, then the lining, and then a couple of the extra pieces. For the exterior, we have the front and the back. For the zipper gusset, we will have the two zipper panel pieces and then the bottom gusset. For the lining, we will have the main panels in that dewdrop shape, and then we will also have a slip pocket that will go on one of these panel pieces. We will also have the zipper panels, two of them, and the bottom one gusset piece. So two zipper panels for both the exterior and the lining, one of the bottom gusset pieces for the exterior lining. I do have a D-ring. I'm doing my D-ring just a little bit different. I do not have a 3/4 of an inch D-ring, so I'm going to leave mine at a 1 inch, and so that means I'm leaving my edges raw on mine because I just cut it down to 1 inch. I'm going to have one zipper pull, one swivel hook. I'm going to do the 3/4 of an inch swivel hook for my wristlet strap. So I do have that. Zipper tape's just a number 5. I just cut it longer than my zipper panels. For the prep work on this, for the wristlet strap, the way I prepped it is I just drew a line down the middle. I will fold each side of the long edges to the middle, and then I will fold it again. So this will be a 4-way fold for my wristlet. For the D-ring, I'm just going to top stitch right across there. The first thing we will do will be working on this wristlet strap and the D-ring piece. After that, then we will work on making the gusset, which will contain the zipper and the zipper panels and that bottom gusset piece. After we do that, we will go ahead and work on our slip pocket and attach it to the lining. Then basically we put an exterior lining, wrong sides together, baste them in place, attach the gusset, bind it, and we're done. This is such a quick and easy fun pattern. It's a cute shape, and these cut and sews give us such a pretty decorative look with hardly no time at all. If you don't have this pattern, if you haven't tried to cut and sew with this pattern, definitely consider it because you'll be able to make just a cute wristlet in hardly no time. I have my wristlet folded. Like I said, I did a 4-way fold. I did slip the swivel hook on. Now what I do is I just take those short ends, put them together, and then I'm going to clip them so that they are right sides together. That is the way I will sew them, and that will give us like less of a bulky bump here at the top. And then I will fold back together and top stitch down the long edges. These are the next steps you will see me do on camera. And then I will also take my D-ring and just top stitch right underneath that D-ring hardware. D-ring has been attached and top stitched. I'm going to set that aside. For the wristlet strap, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wristlet strap to the seam where that big bump is, and I'll fold it down there. Now if you're like me on a domestic machine, you may have trouble going through this. If your machine does not want to go through this, you have a couple choices. You can do a rivet here. If you don't have the options to do rivets, you could do a Chicago screw. You can sew it just fine. If you're struggling with sewing, get a hump jumper or something to go through it. I'm just going to sew this down, and then I might put a rivet after the end, but for right now on camera, all I'm doing is sewing. My machine has an option to where I can raise my foot, and so that it can be just a little bit of a higher lift, and I'm going to do that. And then I'll just go slow, put a stitch and back stitch a couple times. You want to go slow because you do not want to have any problems with your needle breaking or bending or anything like that. Wristlet strap is done. I'm going to set this aside. I'll trim up all my threads off camera. Next thing we'll do is we'll work on this zipper gusset. So you're going to pull out your zipper pull, your two zipper panels, your bottom gusset piece. We are going to do these like any other gusset I've done before. This is the traditional top where we just sew everything all together. You have to make sure you use the proper seam allowance, of course. Make sure you backstitch when you start and stop, all those things. I don't want to spend a lot of time going over this just because I've done it so many times, and I don't want to waste your time on showing you a step you may know. First thing I always do is I take out my lining piece, and I'm going to have my lining right sides up. I'm going to lay my zipper tape on top of that right sides up. We're going to match this top edge. We're going to sew. I'm just going to do a basting stitch all along this, catching those two pieces, the zipper tape and your zipper gusset lining piece. Then I will come back after I baste it and go ahead and put that exterior piece right sides down. So it'll be right sides together with both your zipper tape and your lining piece. You don't have to baste first. You can sew this all at once if you want. It is your preference. If you do it like me and baste them separately, or even if you don't, I guess, make sure you match up your short sides. Your exterior and your lining should be matching at the short ends. After we get these two pieces sewn together, we will pull the zipper panels so they are wrong sides together, and then we're going to top stitch. That'll be the way that we get this started for the first side, and then we will do those same exact steps for the other side to get the zipper panels attached to the zipper. There is that lining attached. So now what I'll do is take the exterior, put it right sides together, match up that short edge, and now I'm just going to sew it and attach it to this zipper and the lining piece. So now we have this zipper sandwich. All we do is we separate the two zipper panel pieces, pull them wrong sides together, and then I'm going to sew all around this. I'm going to sew not only the raw edges, which will be considered a basting stitch, will just be 1/8 of an inch away, but I'm also going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from this folded edge. That'll secure this whole piece so it's all one piece and will be easily attached to our exterior piece. If you want, you can clip all these together. I typically don't, just because I'm always in a hurry, I feel like, and I just feel like it wastes time. So what I do is I just kind of hold them together while I'm sewing, making sure that I'm pulling these raw edges together. It seems like this is an easy way for me to do it, and I still get a really nice finish. This is how that first zipper panel piece looks. You can see exterior, zipper, and the lining, everything's top stitched and attached all together. I'm going to complete those same steps for this other side to attach these other two pieces. When I come back, you will see that these are attached, my zipper pull is on, and I'll trim up my extra zipper tape at the end. Here's how this zipper panel looks. I do have the pull on. I have both of the exteriors and the linings attached. and I have it trimmed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my D-ring to the side where the zipper closes. Now there's other places you can put this D-ring. This is just what I'm going to do. And if you remember, mine is bigger than what the pattern says because I didn't have the correct hardware. And so mine does look a little bit different, but there is a different place you can put this and things like that. This is just what's going to be easier for me. For a wristlet, I'm not too particular with it because it'll do the same thing. I just want it on the same side the zipper closes. So that way the zipper, whenever I'm holding it, the zipper will be fully closed, and I think it'll fall out if it is just a little bit open or anything. I'm just going to base that in place. I'm leaving myself plenty of room here for that D-ring to be kept out of the seam allowance whenever I attach that bottom gusset. Pull out that bottom gusset, exterior and lining. What I'm going to do is just center it in place, and that little bit of overhang I'll trim off at the end. I'm going to have the exterior right sides together with the exterior. I have the lining right sides together with the lining. If you wanted, you could baste the exterior or lining into place, but where this is such a short area that you're sewing across, I feel like it's really okay to just do a clip or two and it should stay just fine. I'm going to go ahead and sew that with the seam allowance given in the pattern. If you want, you can trim that down a little bit, but I'm going to leave it all the way there. I feel like leaving that long will give me a little bit extra stability, and then if I'm a little uncomfortable with it, I could even add a rivet to the bottom. So I'm just going to leave it in there and not trim it down at all. I'm going to pull those two apart, pull it tight, and then go ahead and top stitch down that seam on the bottom gusset, not on the zipper panel. Then what I'll do is I'll just pull that exterior short side all the way over so that it matches the short side of the zipper panel. Do the same thing with the lining to the lining. So you're making that same sandwich again, sewing that together just the exact same way we did the other side. This is what it looks like now. So I'm going to flip this all around so that the exterior is right sides out. What I want to do is, since this part's already top stitched, I'm going to start sewing where this side's already top stitched, so or based I should say, all the way down this long edge, then top stitch across here, then baste all the way back up this other side, and that will have this completely attached. So whenever I add it to the main panels, I don't have to worry about any shifting. It just makes it easier to attach for the next step. So that is something I like to do, but it is not a necessary step. I am not sewing up against the edge here as I typically would do because I need to trim that down. So I'm going to make sure that I come in so that I can trim down that extra part without having to cut my stitches and rebase these pieces into place. Okay, now I pivoted and I'm going to go ahead and top stitch on that bottom piece. This is the only part that will actually show at the end. These basting stitch will be caught in your seam allowance. So the gusset is done pretty much. I do have to trim up some of these edges, and because mine is a little too big, so I need to trim that up. I also need to find my center marks. You can do quarter marks if you want, or centers, depending on how you feel going around curves. So I will do those steps off camera. Before I go do that though, I'm going to pull out the slip pocket piece. We have two pieces. I'm going to place them right sides together, and then I'm just going to sew along that curved edge. So you can clip it if you want to, but I'm just going to take my time and kind of sew it slow and shift as I need to. So that's a pretty good curve there, you know, a pretty, I guess, steep curve. And I'm using waterproof canvas. So I'm going to try to not snip into this curve and try to turn it without snipping, but I know that I might have wrinkling that might make me need to come back and snip. So let's just try and see first without it. I'm going to open that seam, kind of butterfly, and use my fingers just to kind of push it flat. Now that I got that seam kind of open, I'll start here at the edge and kind of just fold those two pieces together, wrong sides together, and have that seam completely in the middle. Take the next step. Yep, it's laying really nice. I don't think I will need to snip on this one. It's actually laying really well. I'm having a little bit of wrinkling, but I think if I go slow with my top stitching and pull and have enough tension on it, I think I can avoid the wrinkling. Definitely can snip if you feel like you need to, but what I'm going to do now that I have these folded wrong sides together is I'm just going to do an 1/8 of an inch top stitch along that top curve. Not too bad. You can always take it over the iron if you feel like it needs a little extra flattening. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take one of my lining pieces, have my lining piece right sides up, lay this slip pocket right sides up, the right side's up, the one with the print, flatten it out there, and now I'm just going to base all around that curved edge to attach it. Definitely you're not going to sew it to the top because that's your pocket. That is the lining piece with the slip pocket. The other lining piece does not have a slip pocket or anything attached yet. So what we're going to do now, pull out your exterior piece, flip it over so you're looking at the wrong side, attach one of your lining pieces, doesn't matter which one. You can add a clip or two. So these are wrong sides together. And lots of times we have found with cut and sews that the lining always prints a little bit larger than the exterior, even with the proper measurements given to the company. It's just the nature of the more like the cotton woven, the water resistant canvas, things like that. They just print a little bit bigger than the vinyl. So I know that if I need to trim some down, it's okay. We want to make sure the exterior fits it, and so I go look in the back, make sure I have it all lined up on the back, and then if I have overhang, I'll trim it at the end. I'm going to sew it from the exterior side because I know that is the right measurement. So I'm going to baste all around these two pieces so that way I'll have them wrong sides attached and I'm looking at the right sides for both of them. Here's how that exterior lining piece looks. Trim up any overhang you have. Do the same thing for the other two pieces and then mark your centers. And if you're uncomfortable with not having quarter marks, you can do that, but I'm definitely just going to mark up my centers. That's all I will do is the top and bottom center, and then I'll ease the curve around the rest of the way. So I'm going to do those steps off camera, but when I come back, we will start talking about how we attach the gusset to our wristlet and finish everything up. So we are ready to put everything all together. We have our two exteriors and linings attached. We have the gusset completed, ready to go, center marks marked on everything. We are going to attach the gusset right sides together with the exterior. You can start with whichever exterior you want. It doesn't really matter because they both look the same. So you're going to start by matching up the raw edge to the raw edge. We're going to clip all the way around. I'm going to start sewing it with the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. It's just a basting stitch. Then I will come back, add binding. I have really been enjoying using ribbon for binding lately. I have been buying this, and I know this color doesn't really match, but I just ordered a bunch more and it's not here yet. This is just 1 inch ribbon. It folds over really easy because it's thin, it's not stiff. Waterproof canvas is fun to use too, but it is stiffer than this, so this doesn't make a hard binding. It's very soft, and it already comes pre-cut. It's just easy for me. So I've been doing buying a lot of this and using it. I'll put the link in my description if you want that too, but you'll be seeing me use ribbon a lot more for binding because it just works easier for me. So I will add this all around, bind it, and then that will be it. I will do the first side all on camera, but then for the back side, I'll do that off camera. Start by matching up those two top center marks. And I'm not paying attention to where my zipper pull is because like I said, both of mine look the same and it doesn't matter to me which is which. So I'm just going to go with whichever way it works out. The only thing that's different is that one has a slip pocket and one doesn't. Match up your bottom marks. And then on the bottom, we have that little bit of a wider base. So I'll add a few clips there to kind of stabilize the bottom section. And now I'm just going to slowly go around and curve all of this around to add all the clips and get everything attached. I sew this slowly and I start with that 1/8 of an inch to secure it. If you feel uncomfortable, you can use staples, you can use your hemostat, you can use glue, whatever you feel will help you get the easiest sew. I do recommend though starting with the 1/8 of an inch first and then coming back in with the full seam allowance for the binding steps. After I get finished basting, I want to make sure that my gusset sides are about even. Mine's a slight bit off, but not enough to where it's going to be a big deal. So they look pretty good to me, so I'm okay with that. So now what I do is I pull out the binding. You can see I even have a little bit of overhang there. That's okay too, not an issue. When you start your binding, you're just going to wrap it around and clip it, leaving that edge raw. You're going to continue clipping all the way around, but then whenever you overlap that end piece, you will want to fold that end under. So I want to make sure I have a little bit of overhang here. I'm going to fold under that edge and then just overlap them. I don't want to have a big overlap, just a little bit. And then I will just kind of tuck that down in there and clip it in place. And then once again, I will sew the binding on with the full seam lines with this panel against the bed of my machine. I have black thread in here and I should probably change that since my binding is not black, but I'm just going to let it be and it'll be okay. I have my binding attached. Everything is done on this side. We're going to repeat those same steps for the other side to attach it. Whenever we come back, I will have everything done and then we'll just turn it out. And that's all there is to it to make this adorable little wristlet. I have my binding attached on both sides. We are ready to just turn this out and then it's done. My dewdrop wristlet is finished. This is the smaller version of this pattern. Kim does have bigger versions of this pattern if you are interested in them as well. I'm going to have the link to the pattern and the cut and sew how to get it in my description. You can see that this pattern goes by so quick. It's basically just a few steps and you get just a really cute wristlet. This is a great way to have a last minute gift for someone. There's also different things you could do. You could add zipper pockets, slip pockets, whatever you want to kind of embellish it, piping. But with the cut and sews, you just get a unique print and it just comes together really quick. And on the inside, you can see it has a lot of space in there. You have plenty of room. Let me see if you can see that on the camera. Yeah. There's plenty of room in there that's definitely going to hold your phone, a water bottle, your wallet, anything you need. So it's just a cute, quick pattern. It's one that I've made several times. If you don't have it, consider getting it. Check out Kim's Facebook group and you will see all kinds of different options of ones people have done. Check out K.A. Custom Fabrics Facebook group and you will see the other cut and sews like this that they do offer and just to be inspired. Thank you so much for watching just a quick and simple tutorial of mine, and I hope today in your sewing room you can just sew something fun, quick, and easy just to have a nice evening.